Welcome to my channel, TBK's Truth Frame, where we expose partially exposed or hidden stories with care and rigor. This series aims to reveal hidden histories based on the book The Weight of Memory, Sri Lanka's hidden histories of violence, valor, and survival. Since 1948, history does not forget. It waits, lingering in silence and scars, in censored archives and unmarked graves. It waits in stories whispered across generations, in survivors' eyes, and in spaces where truth was buried beneath politics, fear, and denial. This volume is born from that waiting, from the ache of unanswered questions and the urgency of remembrance. Following the fall of the Kandyan Kingdom in 1815, we enter a post-colonial Sri Lanka with new wounds and old fault lines. The promise of sovereignty in 1948 did not heal old wounds, but opened fresh ones for many communities. Ethnic tensions hardened into violence, and political rivalries turned deadly across the island. Insurgencies erupted, journalists vanished, and civilians were silenced as the arc of memory grew heavier. Yet through it all, justice remained elusive, inviting a deeper examination of truth, memory, and accountability. The Weight of Memory asks not only what happened, but why it was allowed to happen and what it means for the living today. From the murder of truth-tellers to the suppression of dissent, the book illuminates the mechanics of silence and forgetting. It examines the architecture of impunity and how memory has been weaponized, commodified, or cast aside. This is the third and final volume in a trilogy that began with fallen kingdoms and moved through the anatomy of war. Now we turn to the aftermath and the reckoning, offering a more complete mosaic of Sri Lanka's modern history. To those who lived through these events, this book is offered not as judgment, but as witness and remembrance. It is written with humility and reverence for truth, believing memory, carried with care, can be a form of justice. In a nation still seeking reconciliation, perhaps memory is the most honest place to begin. And perhaps, in remembering, we begin to heal together as a community and a nation. Episode 1 begins in 1967, Sri Lanka, the diplomat, the musician, and the vanishing of Shirley Boonwat. Carlton Lodge in Colombo is the setting where a morning of violence unfolds, October 15, 1967. At approximately 9:30 a.m., two workers hear a scream and a gunshot, changing lives in an instant. Shirley Boonwat, wife of the Burmese ambassador, had just returned from a rendezvous with a musician when tragedy struck. Witnesses saw Shirley dragged back inside the residence, and 3 more shots rang out. A survivor recalls the moment, describing the attempt to reach the car and the last scream. The affair, though never officially named, became the spark that lit a wider intrigue within diplomatic circles. Diplomatic wives in Colombo faced scrutiny, balancing decorum with the private turmoil behind closed doors. The cremation without a trace follows. A coffin ordered, no post-mortem, and a body never measured by an undertaker. By 1 p.m., Shirley's body was cremated at Kanat Cemetery, leaving few official records behind. Kanate's archives hold no official record of the cremation, a gap that underscores the larger pattern of erasure. The ceremony was attended by monks, Boonawati's sons, aides, and a nanny, all under a veil of secrecy. Despite eyewitness accounts and public outrage, immunity shielded the perpetrator, preventing formal action. Burmese officials arrived within days, and the Sri Lankan government found itself unable to act. Thus, the episode ends with a recalled diplomat in Rangoon and a record of police reports that could not be acted upon. This episode title, The Diplomat, the Musician, and the Vanishing of Shirley Boonwat, signals a larger inquiry into power, secrecy, and accountability. End of Episode 1 marks a pivot to explore how memory and justice intersect in Sri Lanka's modern history. If you've joined us, consider subscribing to follow the journey through memory, truth, and reckoning. Next, we will delve deeper into the chapter's context and the wider setting of Colombo in the late 1960s. Throughout, the narration strives to balance respect for those affected with the pursuit of understanding and truth. The voice guiding this exploration is a steady, thoughtful male presence, listening before speaking and seeking clarity. This approach honors memory by presenting facts with nuance, allowing questions to emerge from the details themselves. As the narrative unfolds, the viewer is invited to reflect on justice not as vengeance, but as accountability and learning.
From prosecution as he is recalled to Rangoon. Under the Vienna Convention, diplomats enjoy immunity, a shield that in this case becomes a shroud over justice and unanswered questions. The story closes with unanswered records and the silent gaps left in the files of Colombo's archives, where memory holds its breath. End of Episode 1, a chapter in a larger reckoning, memory, justice, and the quiet weight of what remains unseen.